Rachel is going to talk about her life, where she's from, why she decided to come to Bangalore, and she will reveal a lot of information about her life, but also why this place is alive and why we are doing a podcast today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And can you please introduce yourself the way you would like people to get to know you?
Sure. My name's Rachel. I'm an expat from the US, and I now run this cafe and fair trade retail store over in Indiranagar.
So I'm going to ask you some questions like I do for all of my guests. This is kind of a fun question. So what's the strangest food combination you've ever had?
So many. I love peanut butter. Peanut butter has always been my favorite food. And when I was a kid, it was all I would eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so to get me to eat more, my mom would just put peanut butter on anything. And so I started putting peanut butter on hot dogs.
Oh, that's interesting. I would never think of that.
I really liked it. I haven't had it in years. I don't know if it would still be good.
Okay, so now you don't eat peanut butter anymore.
No, I still eat peanut butter.
Okay.
But it's just been a while since I've had it on a hot dog.
Okay, well, that's an interesting combination. And you liked it back then, but now you don't think you would eat it anymore.
I would definitely give it a try.
Now, in this cafe, there is food.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about food. Would you think you would add this interesting food combination to the menu?
We could definitely consider it as a weekend special.
Yeah, maybe one theme could be the strangest food you've ever had. And today we have a secret recipe that you've never heard of. And people say what they think about it. And every week or once a month, you can give a try. And whatever is the most popular food combination, then could be on the menu. Maybe.
Sounds fun.
Maybe. It could be.
Could be a fun series. Yeah.
It could. So we're going to get to learn who you are and why you are here. So can you please tell us where you are from? Tell us a little bit about your story, because customers usually like to understand who are the people who own a place.
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in New Jersey. I was living in New York City before I moved to Bangalore. So I was there for a few years. My whole family, has roots in New York City. So I grew up with a really vibrant food scene and food culture, going to Chinatown all the time with my grandparents, and really just having a lot of different food options readily available. And then I came to Bangalore initially in 2020 to do research for my master's thesis, which was in community and economic development. But my thesis was actually in menstrual hygiene management.
Nothing to do with this?
Nothing to do
So,
with
but
this
this is
at
what's
all.
interesting. So originally, why did you do these studies? Like, what was your aim back then?
Back then, my aim was to really get a better understanding of the economic gaps that there are in this country, knowing that there are a lot of stigmas and taboos surrounding periods, and that a lot of girls end up dropping out of school once they start menstruating. So I was really curious about kind of the lost labor that goes into that. What would be the loss in the GDP, the economic impact that could be there if all of these girls didn't drop out of school and if they stayed educated? And why are these taboos still prevalent? Are they still prevalent? Are they more in the cities or more in the countryside? And what is really being done about it? And I learned way more about the Indian toilet and septic systems than I ever thought that I would.
This could be a special episode we actually could do, and I think we would learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting background. So then, what took you from this context to the cafe? So what was your path?
Yeah.
So what happened?
So my husband has had this brand called Ethic Attic for almost 10 years now. And so they have always specialized in fair trade and sustainable lifestyle and homeware products and fashion, natural dyes, things like this. And throughout COVID, they had some of course, every business had some
Yes.
issues throughout COVID. They used to have a brick and mortar store before. Unfortunately, they had to shut it. And so they felt that now was the time to start it back up again. And so they wanted to add a cafe on with the retail side. And I have always been a bit of a foodie, really passionate about food. My sort of role in the family back at home, I was always the cook, whether it was cooking for, every daily meal during the week or, for Thanksgiving, for Passover, any festivals. Like usually I was the one cooking. So I've always had an interest and a desire in feeding people and that passion for food. And it all just sort of came together from there.
So basically, originally, this place was just a cafe and you decided to add food to the menu? Or from the... okay. So first it was just food.
First it was just the shop. And
we will show will show some information about this shop later, yes?
Yeah, so it started off being just the shop, and when we opened in this location, they decided to add on the coffee and the food, and I kind of started off pioneering the menu.
So now if we talk about the menu, what is very special about this menu? Because I know that Bangalore is a foodie place. Lots of foodies. There are lots of food groups. And I think one of the aim of this podcast episode is to get people to know your place.
Yeah.
And so how would you think that this place is very special? What makes it unique?
Yeah. The concept that sort of unites the shop and the cafe is this concept of taking everything slow. So on the shop side, we believe in slow fashion, right? Garments that are hand dyed, naturally dyed, hand stitched, hand embellished, all of these things. So we kind of took that concept of slowness and sustainability and brought that into the F&B space. Kind of like the antithesis of fast fashion and fast food. We have slow fashion and slow food.
So you want people, when they come to your place, you want them to sit down and enjoy as long as they want.
Leisurely.
You don't want them to rush.
Exactly.
You want them to appreciate and maybe ask you questions about the food.
We would love that. Absolutely.
I think it's because I think in many places in Bangalore, and especially Bangalore and India in general, these are busy places.
Yes.
And people come and eat and then they go.
Yes.
And I like this concept of, slow fashion, slow eating. So basically, if you're a person who likes to take your time, maybe come and read a book and you don't know when you're going to leave.
Yeah.
Or come and do some work with your computer.
Yeah.
In India, a lot of people are very busy and they are rushing everywhere they go. But this place is the opposite. So are you the one who came up with the concept, or is it more your husband? So why did you come up with this concept of slow everything?
Yeah, so he had the concept already of the slow fashion.
Yes.
And when we were talking about adding on the cafe, I just kept getting stuck that there needed to be some connection. It had to make sense together. It had to be one story to be in one space. And so this concept of slowness, of connection, and sort of mindfulness in consumption really became the tie over. So, for our patrons who come, we love when someone, has a browse, has a coffee, comes and reads a book, brings their laptop. We've had people come and bring watercolor sets and knitting and, art projects.
So some people can come to do their art in your cafe?
We've had meetups where people have come as a group and
so what would you do during this meetup, for example? Can you give some things you have done already?
Yeah, so we've done a few. Once we just had some people come over and everyone did painting. We've had a slow stitching workshop where we took some fabric scraps and made little quilts out of them. We've done a block printing workshop. That was a real success. We've also done a sustainable watercolor painting workshop where we took food waste from the kitchen, things like coffee grounds, onion skins, and made paints out of them.
That's actually very
and then
good
painted
because
them.
nowadays we are buying so many things and the overconsumption
Yeah,
is very bad everywhere around the world,
yeah,
whether this is in Asia or in the West. And I think your
everywhere.
idea of making people aware, so it looks to me that this place is trying to make people aware
Yeah.
of what we are doing in our everyday life. And this is a place where we can discover how to be more, sustainable, if I could put it this way.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yes.
And, and it's not only for the front of the house, right? It's behind the scenes as well. We're making sure that all of our producers are, being paid fairly, that, obviously our kitchen staff and our staff
Exactly.
is being paid fairly. So it's not just slow in terms of our consumption as customers, it's also slow in our cooking style. So many places you go nowadays, you order something, it's frozen, they just throw it in a microwave or throw it in an oven for a couple of seconds. And that's not our style at all. We are cooking everything from scratch when you place that order. So whether it comes down to, your pesto sauce or your honey mustard sauce or, the bases for everything, as little as possible do we, keep things in the freezer besides, ice and things like that. And making everything, freshly pressed juice, freshly ground coffee. Every time someone orders a coffee, it's getting ground right then. So you don't have that worry of, is it fresh? Is it stale? How long has it been sitting there? Right? And so we kind of want people to understand that it's going to take longer to make your sandwich or make your rice bowl because we're not just putting it in the microwave. We're cooking it for you.
So basically, if you come here, you have to be patient and you need to have time. So if you have only 20 minutes to eat, that's not the right place to come. Come if you have time during the weekend, if you don't work during the weekend.
Yeah.
And also, even during the week, if you want to come after work, for example.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
what?
if you're coming for just like a coffee and a croissant or a coffee and a brownie, that we can do quickly. Those are baked and ready.
But if you need to
right?
cook something, then it's yes. So something hot.
Exactly. If you want hot food instead of being served in 5 minutes, maybe it'll take 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay,
but it'll be worth it.
I think so. I think it is. And I like this concept because when I don't work anymore, whether this is during my weekend or even after work, I like to take my time to do things.
Yeah.
Because I have to drive to go to work and to come back. And it's always in a rush and it's always, but I find that this place is quiet. It's also in a quiet area.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of cars or anything. So it's a very quiet area. And you even have a little terrace that I will show later.
Yes.
And I think it's good to be in a terrace in Bangalore because it's not every place which has a little terrace.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And we will show it later. So now, if we come back to your story, so you are from the US. So whereabouts in the US are you from?
I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay, so in New Jersey, what's the food specialty? Is there any specialty or people eat anything?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's a lot of spillover from New York City, right?
Yes.
So that whole region would be known for bagels and probably also Italian food.
Okay.
So a lot of pizza, pasta. I think outside of Italy, there's more Italian restaurants per capita in New Jersey than anywhere else in the world.
Okay. I remember the bagels because I lived in New York for 9 months. That was a long time ago, but these are the best bagels I've ever had, and I never found them. But can you do bagels?
Unfortunately,
because it's a very specific recipe.
It's a
It's
very
not easy to
specific
make.
recipe, but the secret ingredient is the water. And that water has to come from New York.
Okay.
So,
all right. So unless you
Unfortunately.
have water shipped, but this would be contradictory with your theme, which
Yeah,
is slow food
slow,
and
but-
sustainability.
But there are bagel shops, for instance, in Florida, in the southern part of the U.S., where they do ship their water from
They
York.
do. Oh my
And
God.
that
Yeah.
is
Okay.
their selling point, that
Okay.
we have water from New York. These are real bagels. Okay.
Maybe we can talk about the food of this place.
Yeah.
So should we maybe grab a menu
That
and
would
have
be
a look at it?
great. Yeah,
This
can
is
you
fine.
grab two?
All right. Thank you very much. If you are in Bangalore, head over to Indiranagar, which is the heart of the city, and visit Ethic Cafe. Bring a book, take your time, and experience slow food and freshly ground coffee. You can even go and visit the store, which is in the cafe, to buy souvenirs or to pamper yourself, or even buy a present for your family and your friends. This cafe is also supporting their community, and this is very important. Know that there will be other videos on YouTube about this cafe. Stay tuned for more. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe to Navigate Across Borders on YouTube and follow the show on your favorite podcast platform. You can even write a comment and give as many stars as you want. And don't forget that this is supporting the show if you do that.